you ready? Okay. Ahmed, are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And Manhal, are you ready? Okay.
Yes.
Ahmed, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. And Manhal, are you ready? Okay, so welcome everyone to the 10th National General Assembly of METSCO Oman plenary session. Before we start, I'm going to introduce you to the plenary session. What is a plenary session? Plenary session is the highest or the most important thing in the NGA, where a lot of things happen. The most fun thing that happens in the plenary is the voting of the future team of officials for METSCO Oman. So this is the most important thing that happens in the plenary. We also vote on new rules for the NMO. We vote for the next host. So there is just a voting thing for the future of METSCO. So it is one of the most important things for METSCO. So welcome here. I hope you understood what the plenary is. You should have looked in the survival package. So if you can open the survival package and look through it in the plenary, if you didn't understand anything. We will go through a little demo over here after we elect the people. So Manhal, if you can go to the next slide. So if you can do the roll call. Manhal, if you can do the roll call.
Okay, shall I call the names? Start?
Yes.
Okay, so Executive Board, NMO President,
Present.
VPA,
Present.
VP SDS,
Present.
National Officers, NOMI,
Present.
NPO,
Present.
NEO,
Present.
NORI,
Present.
NOR, NOR, absent.
Not present. Absent.
Okay, Local Committees Representation, SQULC,
Present.
Present.
NULC,
Absent.
كان فوتو بس.
okay.
If everyone can please mute their mics. Next slide,
Roll
please.
call is done.
Okay. So before we start the plenary, I'm going to explain to everyone how the NGA works. Can everyone please close their mics? So before we start the plenary, I'm going to explain how everything works. So you can get it. So if everyone can open NemoVote, please. Everyone open NemoVote, and I'll give you 30 seconds to do so. Everyone please open NemoVote and keep it open. Do not close the NemoVote. Keep the NemoVote open.
Where is the YouTube link?
The YouTube link.
Hold a second. It should be with you already, but I'll send it in the chat of the Zoom.
Also present in METSCO's Instagram bio.
It's there in the chat.
And then, so let's get started. I hope everyone opened their NemoVote. This is how we'll do the votes. Ahmed, are you here? Ahmed? Okay, just give me a moment. Okay, so I'll explain everything until Ahmed comes. Okay, Ahmed's back.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, so I'll explain everything before we get started, so you understand everything and how the plenary works. So this is an example motion. It's just something funny for you just to understand how everything works. Motion number 0, to adopt Ms. Salha as NGAX mascot. It is proposed by the NGAX organizing committee and seconded. So who would like to second this motion? A seconder is someone who supports the motion. A motion cannot proceed without a seconder. So VPSDS seconds this motion. So seconded by VPSDS. So again, a motion cannot pass without someone seconding, and a seconder is someone who supports the motion. A direct negative is someone who wants the motion to be voted on. So if the person who's like a team of officials, it can only be seconded and direct negative by team of officials and not by participants. So if any TO sees that the motion needs to have a direct negative, the motion will proceed to a vote. So for example, now, do we have any direct negative? Do we have any direct negative? Do we have any direct negative? So direct negative NMO president. Okay, so now we will proceed to a vote example for you to understand how NEMO vote works. And so motions usually pass with relative majority. So if please everyone would like to open, if they could open NEMO vote and keep it on the screen. And Ahmed Hamid, if you can start the vote for everyone, so we can vote.
Yes. You will find motion 0 vote is open now. You can vote.
Okay, so we will give you 2 minutes to vote, 2 to 3 minutes to vote. After the 2 to 3 minutes to vote, if you didn't vote, you have lost your chance for voting. So please vote on NEMO vote.
Okay, Manhal, you can close the annotation of participants. Just in the
Yes,
top.
done.
Okay.
If you're having trouble with NEMO vote, please write it in the chat or to Ahmed, to Mustafa. So I think we have 30 seconds left. If you haven't voted on NEMO vote, please vote. If you haven't voted with NEMO vote, please vote. Ten more seconds. Okay, time is up. Ahmed, you can close the vote and give us the results.
Close the vote. 79 votes only out of 92. 92 were online. 70.
Yep. We have a
79
quorum.
only.
We have a quorum. We have a
Yes.
quorum. We can proceed now. So can you please let us know the vote results?
Yeah, in favor 69, 91%, against 2%, abstain 7%.
Can you give us the numbers, please, for the in favor, against, and abstain?
The numbers is 69 in favor, against 2, abstain 8.
Okay, so final result, the motion passes with the relative majority. Congratulations to Salha for being the NGA mascot. So we can proceed to the next term. So we'll start the plenary now. We will try to go as fast as possible to the fun part of presentations. So hope you can bear with us. Hope you have your water and snacks next to you. So we'll start. Motion number 1, to open the 10th National General Assembly of METSCO Oman Plenary held online, proposed by METSCO Executive Board. Do we have any seconder? NPO is seconding this motion. Sorry, VPA was first? Yeah, VPA was first.
VPA first, yeah.
Yeah, so VPA is seconding this motion. Any direct negative? Sorry, before that, do you have any alternative motions? I'll give you 5 seconds. No alternative motions. Do we have any direct negative? No direct negative. Okay, so motion passes nemo contra. So just to explain, when a motion passes nemo contra, it means there was no direct negative. So it means every one of the TO agrees that this motion will pass to a vote. So motion passes nemo contra. So next slide, please. Motion number 2, point number 1, to elect Dr. Mira Al-Busaidi as the chairperson of the 10th National General Assembly of METSCO Oman Plenary, proposed by METSCO EB. Any seconder? Do we have any seconder? VPSDS. VPSDS would like to second this motion. Do you have any alternative motion? No alternative motion. Do we have any direct negative? No direct negative. So motion passes nemo contra.
Point of order.
Yeah.
VPSDS is part of the AB, so how can you second yourself?
Correct. Just another point. Only TO can give point of orders. So until we start the agenda. So when we start the agenda, participants can also give point of orders. Just so everyone to know, point of orders is when you see something wrong in the plenary by the chairperson. You will let us know. So thank you, I think, to Shihab. Thank you, Shihab, for letting us know. So second by Nori. Do you have any direct negative? So do you have any alternative motion? No alternative motion. Do you have any direct negative? No direct negative. Motion passes nemo contra. And now Dr. Mira Al-Busaidi will take over as the chairperson. Good luck.
Thank you, Ali. So I think we can now get started with the plenary. So welcome everyone to the first online plenary of this 10th NGA. My name is Mira Al-Busaidi and I'll be your chair for this plenary tonight. So we'll proceed with our first point. So we have motion number 2 to elect Dr. Ahmed Hamid as the vice chairperson of the 10th National General Assembly of METSCO Oman Plenary. So this motion proposed by METSCO EB. Any seconder? Do we have a seconder? Okay, so we have Neo. So any alternative motion? Direct negatives? Any direct negatives? So no direct negative, this motion passes nemo contra. Next, please. So motion number 2.3, the presentation of the secretary. So to appoint Ms. Manhal Al-Lawati as secretary of the 10th National General Assembly of METSCO Oman Plenary. Next, please. So our first major point is the adoption of the agenda. So as you can see, the agenda is displayed in front of you all. So we have received the procedural motion. Next, please. Manhal, next. Okay, so we have received the procedural motion by METSCO EB to omit the following points from the agenda. Point 1, adoption of the report of the Financial Committee of the NGA. Point 2, adoption of the financial report of the community. So proposed by METSCO EB. Any seconder? Do we have a seconder? Nori. So any alternative motion? No alternative motion. Any direct negative? Any direct negative? So President? So we'll proceed to a vote. So since this is a procedural motion, our TO are the only ones who are allowed to vote. So
point of order. This is a procedural motion. It usually goes to a vote directly.
I was explaining that, Ali. Thank you. So this procedural motion proceeds to a vote by the TO only. So can we open, please?
Yes, I will. I open the vote for the TO.
TO. So did everyone vote? TO?
One is left.
Do we have full votes?
Not yet.
TO, please make sure that all of you have voted.
I'm closing the vote. Norb is not present.
So can we have the results, please, Ahmed?
Yes, please. The results in favor 7, against 0, abstain 1.
Okay. So motion
So it passes.
Relative majority. Next, please.
Next.
Okay, so motion number 3 to adopt the agenda of the 10th National General Assembly of Medsco Amman Plenary, proposed by Medsco EB. Any seconder? Nori? Any direct negative? No, sorry. Any alternative motion? No alternative motion. Any direct negative? No direct negative. Motion passes Numa contra. Next, please. Okay. Our next point on the agenda is point 4, introduction of all animal officials and organizing committee. So we have received a request to open up the speakers list. So animal president.
Yes, so I would like to introduce just by names the NMO officials and the organizing committee heads. So I would like to introduce NMO president Ali Al-Wardi, عبد المجيد ميثم اللواتي VPA, أريج VPSDS, نوري عبد المجيد, نومي منار, NPO Riham, Neo, Neo Munder, and Norp, who is absent today. Sorry, Ismail, and for the head of the OC head, Salha, and OC vice head, Zulaikha. So thank you to all of them for the hard work they've done until now. And yeah, good luck to them. I'm sorry, SQLC president Al-Muayyad, and who is absent today, Amani Raisi, which is the NULC president. So yeah, I guess that's the end. So you can go to the next point.
Thank you, Ali. Next, please. So we have point 5, adoption of the report from the Constitutional Credential Committee. No reports were received. Next point. So we have motion number 6 to adopt the previous meeting minutes proposed by Medsco EB. Any seconder? We have a seconder. Nori. Any alternative motion? No alternative motion. Any direct negative? Any direct negative? No direct negative. Motion passes pneumo contra. So point number 7, adoption of the local committee's reports. No reports were received. We can move to the next point. Point 8, adoption of the report of the supervising council. No submissions were received. We can move to the next point. Motion number 9, proposed by MIDSCO EB to adopt the NPO report. So the original point is to adopt the reports of all the national officers, but no reports were received, only for the NPO report. So we're now voting to adopt the NPO report only. So do we have a seconder? NPO. Do you have an alternative motion? No alternative motion. Any direct negative? No direct negative. Motion passes pneumo contra. So as for the other national officers' reports, they are required to submit their reports before Tom 0. So next point, we have point 10, presentation of local committees applying for membership or change of status. No submissions were received. We can move to the next point. Next, please. So we have adoption of the final report of the Constitutional Credential Committee. No report were received. So we can move to the next point. Changes to the Constitution and bylaws. No submissions were received, but we received a request to open up the speakers list. So, any more
I would
president?
like to be on the speakers list. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So there are no changes to the Constitution and bylaws due to no bylaws being adopted for the past few terms. Therefore, there will be a new bylaws adopted at the end of this plenary, and they will act as the bylaws. So yeah, and we can go ahead with it. So that's it. Including.
Thank you. Next, please. So we have point 15, adoption and changes to the NMO policy statements. No policy statements were received. We can proceed to the next point. Point number 16, changes to the status, opening and closing of the standing committee programs and task forces. No reports were received. We can proceed to the next point. Motion number 17, to adopt the report of the NMO task forces proposed by MIDSCO EB. Do we have a seconder? NPO. Any alternative motion? No alternative motion. Any direct negative? Any direct negative? No direct negative. This motion passes pneumo contra. Point number 18 on the agenda, presentation of programs applying for NMO recognition. No presentations were received. We can proceed to the next point. Point 19, changes to the status, opening and closing of the NMO programs. No submissions were received. We can proceed to the next point. Point number 20, presentation of task forces. We have not received any submissions, but we have been requested to open up the speakers list. Anyone on the speakers list?
Head of task force? Okay. We submitted our report for the task force on strategy. It had three main components: data collection, data analysis, followed by creating strategy. So we have the draft, and we're just waiting for a meeting with an EB to complete the process.
Okay. Is that all, Shihab?
Yeah, everything is summarized in the report. It was shared with the TO.
Thank you very much. Next point, please. So, point 21 on the agenda, presentation of candidates for MIDSCO Executive Board position for the term 22-21. So now we'll start with the fun part where we'll see the presentations of our candidates. So in this part, so we'll display videos of each candidate. During this time, you are all requested to turn off your cameras, please. Okay? So we'll proceed with the next one, please. So candidate for animal president, we have only received one candidature, Mr. Shihab Al-Mawari. So can we have his presentation displayed, please? Again, turn off your cameras, please.
Good evening and welcome to my presentation. I am Shihab Al-Mawari, MEDSCO President Candidate 2020-2021. Unfortunately, under the current circumstances, we are doing this presentation pre-recorded. I know it might get a bit boring, but I hope you can bear with me. So I'll start off with an overview of my presentation, introduction, main pillars, MEDSCO strategy, and wrap it up with a summary. So who am I? According to my CV, I'm a fourth-year medical student in SQU College of Medicine. But who am I to MEDSCO? My journey started off 3 years ago in a project called HPCDS, Health Promotion and Chronic Disease Screening, back in 2018. Well, this is my first activity under MEDSCO, and I was selected as project manager. It was a great experience, and that is where my journey started. After that, I elected myself for NPO, got elected, then applied for a vacancy in presidency before my term started. So I was president for the term 2018-19, then a subco member for 19-20, and head of task force during that period also. Now, my main pillars, my plan of action. I'll be focusing on 5 main pillars: finances, capacity building, external representation, media, and internal development. For the sake of time, I want to go into details. All of the details are in my plan of action, but I'll give you a glimpse of what I've got. Finances, I'll be focusing with the new appointed VPF, using various methods to increase the finances and financial stability of MEDSCO. Capacity building, I'll be working with the VPCB, of course, on workshops, trainers, and knowledge of all our members. External representation, I'll be focusing mainly on meaningful participation, not only participating, but participating actively instead of passively in the General Assemblies and EM1. Fourthly, I'll be focusing on media, mostly social media, and introducing new concepts like MEDSCO Journal, MEDSCO Archives, and the MEDSCO Drive for all the members. Also, I'll be introducing a website to include all these with the point system when adopted. Internal development, I'll be mainly focusing on the new positions and the restructure, distribution of the job tasks between the members of the EB, and sustaining these positions. Also working with SUBCO to ensure that SUBCO has a sustainable structure and a good workflow. And one of the main points of my candidature is to focus on the EB and the TO, the mental health of the EB and the TO, so they are in a good place to be most efficient. And lastly, I'll be focusing on the NGA, to restructure the NGA, to have a more efficient NGA with all the experienced members and alumni and the new members, so we get out with fruitful outcomes. So MEDSCO strategy. I have 1 minute left, so I'll go quickly through the strategy. I was the head of the task force, and I'm going to ensure that it will be adopted and implemented, then aligned with all the annual working plans of the team of officials. Then I'll have a half-term evaluation and an end-term evaluation of the strategy. Also, I would like to introduce the strategies to the standing committees, to have separate strategies within the standing committees. So in summary, I'm focusing on restructure, on building a new base for the new generations. I build a strong base that resonates for years to come, not only my term, but terms to come. And thank you for listening to my presentation. Special thanks for the OC for creating and making this possible.
Thank you for your presentation, Shihab. Now we have 3 minutes for questions. So whoever wants to ask a question can type it in the chat and we'll select only the top 3. If we have time, then we'll proceed with the other questions. Questions?
Looks like there's no questions.
Do you have any questions for Shihab? Yes, Ali. You can just straight away type your question. Anyone who has a question can type it immediately. You can either type, Ali, or unmute yourself.
Sorry, I thought I unmuted myself. You briefly mentioned mental health. What is your plan to prevent burnout within the TO, especially that it's a really prevalent issue? Thank you.
Okay, so just a second, Shihab. So we have 3 minutes for you to answer your questions. We have received 3 questions for now. You can start now.
Okay. The mental health watch will include mental health questions in the monthly reports for the TO and EB. Secondly, I'll ensure that I'll have a close contact with the EB, maybe 2 months, every 2 months meeting, followed by maybe a camp in the half term to refresh, like something similar to Tom Zero that we had last year. I'll move on to the next questions. Why did you reform the structure of the TO? I didn't say I'll reform the structure. Oh, I didn't reform it, but the reforming of the structures was based on the tasks for the current EB. I think that's a question for the current EB. I'll just focus on distributing the tasks and seeing if it fits for every position. What are your plans for looking after TO's mental health? It's repetitive in the monthly reports. What is the point of restructuring? Do you mean not restructuring? I'm just evaluating the new structure. If that's your question. If you want any elaboration, you can ask or unmute your mic.
Okay, you still have 1.5 minutes to go. If you'd like to elaborate more, or if we have any other questions.
Okay, so basically for the EB positions, the tasks have been distributed, and I will evaluate if it's distributed well and if it fits for every vice president. For example, vice president for finance and secretary, I'll evaluate if secretary is fit for a vice president of finance or fit as previously for a VPI or VPA. That's one of the examples, and the other positions I'll do this same basically.
Okay, thank you, Shihab. Do you have any other questions? Any other questions? We still have 1 minute to go. Any other questions? So, no questions received. We can proceed with the next presentation. Can you have the screen on, please? So, next presentation, we have candidates for Vice President for External Affairs. We have received 1 candidature, Mrs. Riham Zijjali. Can we have her presentation on, please? Then you'll have 5 minutes for presentation and 3 minutes for questions.
Assalamu alaikum. This is my millionth take, so whatever happens in this video, خلاص I'm keeping it. الناس اللي ما تفهم في التكنولوجي مثلي حاسة فيني in this pandemic أكيد. My name is Riham Zajali. I'm a fifth-year medical student in Sultan Qaboos University, and this is my presentation for Vice President for External Affairs. Unfortunately, I hoped that the situation would get better and this pandemic would go away and we would meet all of you in the NGA, but I still believe that the organizing committee made amazing efforts to make it feel as real as possible, and they deserve great appreciation from all of us. So thank you to every member in the OC for making it possible. My wonderful journey in MedSco began back in 2016. I was extremely passionate about this community and actively taking part in its projects because it gave me a free space to express myself, and it showed me that one person, one vision, one event can make a difference. And today, after spending 4 years in this amazing community, I think it's my time to work hard and to give back to it. So this is why I'm applying to be part of the change and part of the development. So what are my qualifications, or what are my achievements that qualify me to hold a position in the executive board? To begin with, in 2017, I was elected as the local public health officer. In 2019, I was elected as the national public health officer. I was also the previous head of registration in the previous NGA. On the national level, SCOF has successfully conducted 3 national events, and I was also able to create the new SCOF regulations and MedSco's financial stability manual. In terms of the NGA, I attended the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th NGA, whether as a participant, an organizer, or currently a member in the team of officials. On the international level, I attended 2 General Assemblies, the August meeting in Taiwan, and the most recent online General Assembly where I attended the President's session. And finally, I worked with the Ministry of Health to set the initial plan for public health exchange. Unfortunately, because of the COVID-19 situation, we were unable to finalize, but inshallah, the elected NPO will be working on it next year. So what is the plan and how am I planning to achieve my vision? There's a saying that goes, failing to plan is planning to fail. So to make my work organized, I divided it into 6 main focus areas. The first one is strategy and regulation. I plan to focus on the implementation of the strategy and the creation of the external representation regulations to serve as a guideline for the upcoming terms. In terms of capacity building, I will ensure conduction of sessions to enhance the members' knowledge and, of course, encourage them to actively take part. When it comes to external opportunities and external meetings, I will focus on the WHO internships implementation and also gaining external recognition for MedSco's big events, including NGA 11. I will also be working with other members in the team of officials to ensure an efficient pre-departure training, whether for the EMR or the GA. Since we have no policy documents in MedSco, I will support the creation of the policy documents next term, and I will also ensure the availability of the adopted policy documents to all members. And finally, to keep the work sustainable, I will create a database for the previous, current, and potential partnerships. And because it will be the first year where we implement the external representation strategy, I will ensure to evaluate the indicators of success, as this will help us to create new focus areas for upcoming terms. So in conclusion, let's take MedSco to another level externally. Let's give it what its name deserves. And most importantly, let's give its members the variety of amazing external opportunities that will definitely help them to grow their personality and widen their experience. And before I end my presentation, I would just like to thank MedSco's amazing team, and specifically my SCOF team, local officers, assistants, members, and session team for such a wonderful term. Thank you.
So, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you, Reham, for your presentation. Please, whoever WhatsApp's on, please mute your WhatsApp because it's annoying. Now we have 3 minutes for questions. So whoever has a question can type their question within the chat. Any questions for Riham? We'll give 1 minute for you to type your questions. Any questions for Riham? So we have received a question from Ali. So what are the main pillars of external representation you're willing to focus on? So Riham, you may start.
Okay, so first of all, the first pillar is the strategy and regulations to have a really strong base for external representation for the upcoming terms. And I will also be focusing on capacity building to increase the members of our knowledge and to encourage them to actively take part. I will also focus on increasing external opportunities, external recognition, and the presence in external meetings.
That's another question
for the first question. Should I move to the second question?
Yes, please.
There are a lot of opportunities in IFMSA, but our members are unaware. How will you tackle this? I think this was previously asked in the WhatsApp group, but I will be using the social media mostly to promote for those external opportunities, and also possibly through students' email to ensure that it reaches to a large portion of people. Do you have a plan in increasing funded seats for NU to attend GA? Inshallah, this will be discussed with the elected EB and mainly with the VPFS, inshallah.
Any other questions for Riham? We still have 1.5 minutes to go. Any questions? You have 30 seconds to type in your question. So no questions were received. Thank you, Riham. We can proceed to the next presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. Then our next point is candidatures for Vice President for Internal Affairs. So our first candidate is Mr. Muayyid Al Musa. So can we have his presentation on?
Assalamu alaikum. Here I am in my third year serving and participating in MEDSCO with unconditional love and compassion for this community and what it presents. Today, I stand before you to present my candidature for the VPI position for the term 2020 and 2021 with relentless motivation to get this opportunity and serve this wonderful community. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Al-Muayyid Al-Musa, a fourth-year medical student in Sultan Qaboos University. I am the current SQU-LC president and the representative of 2017 cohort of medical students. And I love MEDSCO. 3 years ago, I developed a keen interest and passion towards this community and the mission it carries. I have participated, organized, and managed many events, and I learned how to be a leader, a manager, a communicator, a time manager, a problem solver, and a pressure handler, which are skills that are sought after in the life of any future doctor. People say that I am a multi-talented person. I enjoy a wide range of hobbies like powerlifting. I am into music and playing musical instruments, reading and writing, painting, I collect stuff, automotive mechanics, and the list goes on. Anyways, enough about me. Let's talk about my plan of action. My plan of action is divided into 4 main pillars. Number 1 is to develop a platform. Number 2 is communication. Number 3 is a follow-up/feedback system. Number 4 is members. The first pillar is to develop a platform or a portal system, which will serve as a useful communication tool to gather all members from both LCs. Each member will have an individual account, and it will contain the scoring system so that each member can log in into his Medsco account and view his scores as per participations. The second pillar is communication. This platform will allow announcements from allocated EB members to all members and will serve as a personal communication tool between officers. This will boost encouragement and participations within Medsco members and will set a virtual identity to all of them. I will also work on changing the meeting agenda and use the role exchange strategy where all EB members and officers exchange roles for a short period of time to come up with creative ideas and to solve problems for each other. Moving on to my third pillar, which is a follow-up/feedback system. As I said, this platform will serve as a very practical and convenient mean of communication between all members. It would be customized to add a report slot in an allocated members page so that once he logs into his Medsco account, he will be able to fill his report and the report will be stored in a cloud storage. It could be also used as a notification tool to notify members to fill their reports before deadlines. My fourth and last pillar is members. As I said previously, each member will have his own personal account. Each member will be able to give improvement suggestions in an allocated area in the platform. We would also be able to notify non-active members. So how is that? For example, if a member has not been active for 3 to 4 months, so how would we know that? Well, this is because we didn't update his scores. So we would manually contact him to address the situation and we could suggest upcoming events. So this will increase participations, therefore increase the workforce in our events and will encourage our members. I also believe in members' mental state. So applying these 4 pillars will create a mental well-being in the work environment. Regarding COVID-19, I will encourage online events and advise the MDSD to allocate some members from the media team to be responsible for the technical issues related to online sessions. Finally, the word impossible, unfortunately, is not a word in my dictionary. I want to dedicate myself wholeheartedly to this opportunity, and I hope that I will contribute to this community in the best way that I can. I am convinced that I can meet and exceed your expectations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Al-Mu'ayyid. Now we have 3 minutes for questions. So if you have any question, type it in the chat, please. Any questions? Please try your best to type faster. So we have received 1 question. We're still waiting for other questions.
Shall I start answering?
Okay, just a second. I will set your timer. You can start.
So, how do you plan to ensure efficient communication with national officers. First of all, as I said in my presentation, that implementing this members portal will help a lot in terms of communication, and the reporting system will be more convenient and will be more efficient in terms of notifying members before deadlines and allocating, as I said, slots in their members page. So this is regarding the portal. And as I said in my plan of action, that there are programs in case the portal took time to implement, that I am considering as reporting tools for the national officers. Hope this answers your question.
Thank you, Mu'ayyad. Do we have any other questions? Any other questions? We'll wait for 30 seconds. Maybe we'll receive another question. Guys, anyone can ask questions. Participants, you can ask questions as well. It's not only for the TO to ask questions. And OC as well. Go on and type your question, please. You may start.
Modifying the reporting system is not a thing to do right now, because using some programs that are related to reporting is much better, or to be more convenient and more efficient. So as I said, they will contain notifying systems and all that. So I'm not modifying a reporting system. I am making a new system.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, so we have received a question from Shihab.
How will you tackle the problem of no reports adopted in NGA as reflected this year? So what happened, in my opinion, that this term, there were no reminders, I can say, because me as an SQULC, the college administration asked me to for the reports for the previous semester, and I gave them all of the reports. So I'll be reminding all of the officers again and again to submit their reports on time.
Any other questions? We still have 1 minute to go.
I have a question. If you remind them and they didn't report back still, what will be your action after that? Is there any action you can do to make them report?
I don't think so. Thank you. I don't think so, actually, because not reporting is كيف أشرحها؟ يعني ما بضربه على إيده مثلا. So.
Okay. Is that all, Mu'ayyad?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. We can now proceed to the next presentation.
Good afternoon, dear NGX participants, TO, and plenary team. I once read a quote that states there are 5 things that you never stop to do for a successful life. Never stop dreaming, never stop believing, never give up, never stop trying, and never stop learning. Therefore, I'm not going to stop dreaming and trying to achieve what I can in MedScope. I am Mayta Mohammed Al-Lawati, a 4th year medical student at Sultan Qaboos University. And it's my pleasure to be standing before you today presenting my candidature for the position of Vice President for Internal Affairs for the term 2021. Throughout my journey in MedSchool, I have attended 3 NGAs, 2 EMRs, and the pre-EMR 15 attending the Public Health Leadership Training and 2 General Assemblies. Here are the pictures of the August meeting Taiwan and EMR Jordan delegation, as well as the EMR 15 delegation in Oman and the team of officials meeting 0, which was held at the beginning of the current term. And here I am, after 10 months, ready to go on another journey with MESCO and FMSA. Moving on to the 4 pillars that my plan of action will be focusing on if elected. Starting with the first pillar, support the nationals, division directors, and developing local committees by maintaining regular contact through email once per month and WhatsApp twice a month. As we are still in the pandemic situation of COVID-19, a shifting of teaching and activities to online, I'm looking forward to providing support and guidance to developing online activities, campaigns, workshops to all officials. This will be done through developing the guidelines for proposing and reporting systems and forming a new technical team to support both on the national and local level. An important part for the development and sustainability of any team is the feedback cycle and reporting and evaluation. This will be done mainly by the monthly reports and the annual working plan. I'm looking forward to change the format of the monthly reports to include multiple choice questions and selection of choices instead of long answers to make it more convenient and easy to fill. Also, tracking the annual working plan will be done through conducting a session to raise awareness on the importance of annual working plan and how to use it, as well as one-to-one support with the officials in developing and filling the annual working plan throughout the term. Moving on to the third pillar, I'm looking forward to form a guideline or toolkit containing the process of the NGA OC work and TO work so that the routine and regular work can be easily done and provide a timeline which is recommended to follow. This will decrease the effort put in the routine steps and allow more space for creativity, adding new features, and looking into details and improving them and filling the gaps. After my participation in the online General Assembly, an idea came to my mind of having a platform for MedSchool members to engage with each other from the different local committees and also with the team of officials, which will be done through Discord. Moreover, to enhance communication and insight on the work of the officials, I'm going to collaborate with the media and publication director to develop a biannual newsletter for MedSchool. And for the final pillar is MedSchool database and archive. I will be aiming at the start of the term to start archiving MedSchool's activities, as this will be important to follow up with the new implementation of the point systems that I will be supervising with the Vice President for Finance and Secretary. Finally, why should you choose me? Well, first of all, I am motivated, well-equipped, and experienced enough to be trustworthy and holding this position. I have the skills needed as being organized, dedicated to the work, eager to learn more. Moreover, I am well experienced in MedSchool's work and activities on both the national level and the local level. Finally, I have achieved most of what I planned to achieve in the current term and achieved things that weren't in the plan. Therefore, with all these skills and experiences, I believe I am well prepared and ready. As I have started the presentation, I will never stop dreaming, never stop trying, and never stop learning. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Maitham. We're now starting to receive questions. As you have seen in the chat, please, you all are requested to prepare your questions in advance so we can avoid delays. You can type it even while the presentation is still on. We have received one question so far. Any other questions? Any other questions for Maitham?
shall I answer them one by one or all together?
Yeah, you may start now.
All right, okay. So for this, for the monthly reports, I mentioned in my plan of action that I will be changing the format of the questions. And I think the biggest problem this term was that in spite of the continuous reminders to the officials, they felt that the questions were more of a burden and difficult to fill since they are long and short answers, which will be transforming into multiple choice and selecting choice depending on their plan of action and the only one working plan. So the plan of action matches the questions sent in the form to make it more easy and convenient to fill.
Thank you. Any other questions for Maitham?
All right. So regarding Shihab's question, thank you for the question. Also, thank you for the previous question. I will, after the team will be elected, I will send the adopted bylaw to all officials elected so they can read it and review it. And therefore, they are prepared beforehand, before the term zero, at least by 1 week. So they have the time to read it and interpret it and add any comments or changes.
Any other questions? So?
Yeah. So regarding the NULC contract, this term we tried several times, many times to contact them and remind them, but there were some issues on the way. And as a VPI, I will be assisting and working with the NMO president to sign this contract as early as possible, immediately after being elected and after being immediately when being in the position in October.
Any other questions? We have 20 seconds to go. Any other questions for Maitham?
How do you plan to deal with the problems that arise when in the TO? Well, for this, I will be addressing a form for reports for any problems, and also checking and from the monthly report if they pose any problems, and contact one-to-one to them to meet with them when the time allocates for me and them to solve these issues and problems, and using my experience in the last term as being a part of the EB.
Your time is up. Thank you, Maitham.
Thank you. Thank you.
Best of luck. Can we have our slides back, please? Then our next presentation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mitham Elawati, and I'm a candidate for Vice President for Finance and Secretary for the term 2020-2021. During my presentation, I'll talk about my beginning with Metzco, the achievements, my plan of action, and finally, the conclusion. There is a quote which I believe in that says, "The secret of getting ahead is getting started." My beginning with Metzco was when I participated in the NGA in August 2019. This was before even joining the college. During the astounding days of the pre-NGA and the NGA, I felt so happy that I'm part of this event. I met my new colleagues and they felt like family to me. Ever since that day, I told myself that this place and those people are the ones who I want to continue my college days with. Hard work betrays none. This quote has been my guide that I followed ever since the beginning. During the term 2019-2020, I was chosen by the local public health officer to be her assistant. In April 2020, I was one of the Omani delegation that went to Jordan for the East Mediterranean Regional Meeting 16, and it was very amusing and beneficial. I also presented in the activities presentations about HPCDS event. During the pandemic, the blood banks were suffering from lack of blood donors, so I decided to take a step and help them. I was the project manager of the blood donation campaign in April and May 2020, where the number of registrations as donors reached to more than 700. I was one of the organizing team in Mini Doctor campaign, Pediatrics Ward event, time management workshop organized by SCOMI, and finally the project manager of World Diabetes Day in Sultan Qaboos University Hospital in December 2019. They say that a goal without a plan is just a wish, and what I want is my goal to be a reality. So next is my plan of action if elected, as the Vice President for Finance and Secretary. Firstly, is to create a fundraising strategy by creating a simple manual that will include guidelines of the ways and methods of raising Medsco's income in various ways. This manual will also contain a plan and a timetable for the future vice presidents that will tell them when and how to increase our financials. Secondly, contacting sponsors. I'll visit big companies and people who I know and request money for the events that will be held throughout the year. Thirdly, long-term investment. Part of the money we'll get will be used for guaranteed investments which I'll be responsible for personally. This will help Medsco in the long term a lot by having a constant income. Fourthly, merchandise. I'm willing to provide merchandise throughout the year. These will be sold and delivered to the buyers on demand, and a catalog with all of the items will be designed and marketed on social media accounts. These can be sold before or during the events. Fifthly, paid workshops and events. One of the ways of having a high income for Medsco is by providing workshops for medical students or events that participants pay for. So, I'll work and plan with the national and local officers to ensure that such events and workshops get us the best deal. Last but not least, secretary work. I'll work and do my best to write high-quality minutes, send out proposals and voting results, and any other motions and proposals for the changes in the bylaws, and sending them to the team of officials and executive board on time, and of course, free of mistakes. In conclusion, I hope that you support and trust me, as I'll do my best to make Medsco a greater community with better financials. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Maitham. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions for Maitham? I have received one question.
Okay, don't you think paid workshops can affect the attraction of members? It may, but some of the workshops are having a high demand. Like, for example, I'm sorry. For example, the BSS and the BLS, medical students pay for it. How do you plan to balance between financial and secretary work with your studies? I have no problem in time management, so I'll just keep a part of my day for Medsco.
Any other questions for Maitham?
Can you estimate the workshop costs? Of course, yes. For example, the BLS or the BSS will range from 10 to 20 maybe, or even less. It depends on our financials at that point. But they will be affordable and of course worth participating in.
Any other questions?
And if we do have sponsors, of course, the price will be less. Can even reach up to 5 riyals maybe, or 10.
Any other questions for Maitham? We still have 2 minutes to go.
Please feel free to ask.
OC and participants, you may ask questions as well. Don't hesitate and don't be shy. These are the people who will be representing you in the future. Any other questions?
How will you ensure financial stability? As I mentioned in my plan of actions, I'll have long-term investments for Medsco. I already have an online store called Mutanafis. I can sell and market merchandise for Medsco through this brand or through this online store, and they will be marketed on social media accounts. So we will have no problems. Will you also be also relying on sponsors as a source of income, keeping in mind the pandemics? Yes. As I mentioned in the group, this question was asked, I think. I already have sponsors and they're willing to pay. So this money will be used for investments after discussing with the NMO president. And people are.
Other questions?
Any other questions?
Feel free to ask. If no other questions, we may proceed with the next presentation. I think we don't have any other question. So can we have our slides back, please, Mustafa?
وين التصفيقة؟
سوي له تصفيق.
حلو كده؟
ايوه حلو شكرا. So our next presentations are candidatures for the Vice President for Capacity Building. We have received 2 candidatures. Number 1, we'll start with Mr. Saleh Al-Maskari. So can we have his presentation on? And again, everyone, you may type your questions while the presentation is still on. I would like to emphasize that these people are going to be representing you in the future. So ask them whatever questions that you would like to ask. Sorry.
Everybody, I'm Saleh Al-Maskari. I heard about that opportunity to become a vice president for capacity building for the next year. And it's a great chance to become part of Medisco family and work with these great. I'm Saleh Al-Maskari. I heard about that opportunity to become a vice president for capacity building for the next year. And it's a great chance to become part of Medisco family and work with this great family. Today I'm going to talk about a little bit about myself and what I plan to do if I become in that position, inshallah. I am a 50-year medical student at Sultan Qaboos University. I like singing and listening to music, classic music, old songs, old Arabic songs. I like also to join students committees, and I like volunteer work very much. I am an active member in SIAJ team. SIAJ team is is a committee for it's a national program for increased awareness of cancer. And also I am an active member in Medisco, and especially in SCOF and SCOMI. I had participated in many of their events like HCBDS and together for child smile, mini doctor camping. Also, I had participated and attend the last summer camp, which was in 2018 in Sultan Qaboos University. This year I joined the capacity building team, and it was a very great chance, and it was a very also great time with them. I participated in 2 workshops with them, and that's what increased my enthusiasm to become a vice president for capacity building for the next year. My vision for capacity building that all students and members and committees are aware of their needs and the requirement for continuous improving and upgrade themselves. So what do I aim for to improve our committee? Firstly, about capacity development itself, we will reactivate the team again and add new members. And this year we will focus on artificial intelligence. We want to introduce artificial intelligence among medical students and ensure that many of medical that almost all of medical students have an idea about artificial intelligence in medicine. Because the problem now that artificial intelligence enter our medical field in Oman, but many of healthcare providers and medical students have no idea about AI in medicines and how to use it. Also, we will focus on mental health among medical students to ensure that that most of medical students have an idea about mental health and how to deal with person with these episodes, and try to focus in how to give an advice to person with mental health problem. For the training related works, it's important to ensure that the members understand the mission of capacity building and what we want to do to improve ourselves and our committee, and also to generate new trainers by holding sub-regional training. And after having new trainers, we want to create a plan to guide them and to help them to improve their self and preserve their experience for the committee and to improve the committee as well. I'm a very disciplined person, and I like everything to go in the way that's that is organized and what it's planned for. And for the strategy related work, we will work to follow up the strategy of MIDISCO among the committees and to ensure the implementation of the strategy in the annual working plan with the EB and NO, and also to ensure implementation of the capacity building strategy by following the internal operating guideline which was performed this year. So as you see, we have to have an idea, then plan this idea and approve this idea, then act to have a nice and very excellent work. Thank you for your listening, and hopefully it was a clear presentation. And I would say, as a capacity team, let's build MIDISCO together.
Thank you, Saleh. Do you have any questions for Saleh? Any questions? Please make it fast so we can avoid delays.
Feel free to ask.
So we have received one question. You may answer.
So Ali, So I'll look at two projects and study them. If there is any conflict, I will of course focus on risk work and capacity building. we'll have a good contact with UNC and we'll have a member from NU in our capacity building team to ensure development of capacity building in NU. Hope this answered your question, Shina.
Salah, could you please raise your voice when you answer? Because I can't hear you properly. I don't know about the others. And we have another. So we have another question by Tariq. You may answer.
How you will manage to improve capacity building member work and keep them excited by بنسوي workshops يعني نحاول يكون في continuous workshop and events.
We can't hear you, Saleh.
الحين واضح الصوت ولا لا؟
الحين واضح. You may answer again.
Okay, طارق كنا نتكلم عن how to manage to improve capacity building member work by have the workshops and events to activate continuous activity and have يعني بنخلي في بلان يكون في شغل يعني مستمر للممبرز معنا and محاولات لتنشيطهم مع ستاندينج كوميتيز الثانية.
Okay, we had another question by Ali.
In SIAJ we have يعني في تايم للورك يعني في السنة عندنا بس مدة معينة للشغل مو طول السنة نحن شغالين. طيب سوري أنا أتكلم بالعربي لكن بس يعني.
Feel free. So, is that all, Saleh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do we have any other question? We still have 1 minute to go. So we have a question by Minhal. Will this result in overlap in busy seasons? You may answer.
Have management time management skills. إن شاء الله I will تتعامل مع الموضوع إن شاء الله.
Okay. Another question by Riham. You mentioned in your plan of action that you will hold SRT. However, with the COVID-19, it may not be possible. Do you have plans for any alternatives?
We plan to have SRT in next summer, so hopefully COVID-19 will be will go over, and if it's still there, we will try to have an SRT in online program if it's possible.
Okay. Any other questions? There are no other questions. We can proceed with the next presentation. Can we have the slides back, please? Our next presentation, again, for position of Vice President for Capacity Building, Mrs. Iman Al-Fahdi. Can we have her presentation on, please?
Hello, everyone. My name is Iman Yunus Al-Fahdi. I'm a third-year medical student at the National University of Science and Technology. I am member of the Global Surgery Student Alliance since 2019. I'm a writer, reader, presenter, speaker, and actor. I am member of the Capacity Building since 2019, which is under the umbrella of Medisco. Today, I'm recording this video to let you know that I am applying for the position of Vice President for Capacity Building, and I am here today to convince you to vote for me. I believe that medical students have great abilities that, if properly taken care of, will create a wonderful and amazing community. People, in order to share their abilities and skills, they need someone who supports them positively, and I am sure that I am the right person to do this job. My plan of action will focus more on, first of all, ANIMO, like analyzing the capacity building system of ANIMO, sitting along with the standing community directors and meet them monthly to discuss the working plan. Also, I will be focusing more in teamwork because I believe that well-prepared team will increase the chance to build a successful community. I will conduct online and real workshop, where in this workshop I will focus and develop different skills on members. At the end, I will make sure on the quality assurance and impact, where I will conduct many tests to evaluate the members as a trainers. Also, I will conduct a big number of sessions and workshops because I know that the big number of workshops consists a big impact on the capacity building of any organization. At the end, the capacity building system of our community needs someone to work hard to look after the students' abilities and develop them. So make sure to choose the right person you think will make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Iman. So we now have 3 minutes for questions. Any questions for Iman? Please prepare your questions in advance. Do we have any questions for Iman? So we have received a question from Ali, the ANIMO president. How would you manage to qualify CB trainers in this pandemic?
Okay, first of all, I will answer the first question, which is, what are your plans to develop new members? Okay, so as I mentioned in the presentation and as I mentioned in the plan of action, the main thing that I want to do is to conduct many workshops and sessions, because as much I conduct workshops and sessions, as much I improve the members. Members are learning by workshops and sessions. I would say the next question, how you will manage to qualify capacity trainers in this pandemic? Okay, so I decided to make like such a test to evaluate the capacity trainers and members. So I can evaluate them well. And in this pandemic, nothing is impossible. Here we are using Zooms, we are using these online things, which helped us a lot.
Okay.
What are your plans to get more a new student into? Okay, well, here in NU, the activities are less compared to SQU, so I have to use the social media. I have to choose a good number of students from each batch to let them be a member of capacity building. So it's an easy way to let a new student to engage.
Okay. Is that all, Iman?
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions? We still have 1 minute to go. Any other questions for Iman? We'll wait for 30 seconds. لا تستعجل في التصفيق. Any other questions?
خلاص.
So we don't have any other questions. We may go back.
نصفر.
Next, please. So by this, we have concluded all presentation for the executive board members. We may now proceed with the presentation of candidates for MEDSCO official positions for the term 2020-2021. Next, please. So for the first position, we have candidature for the National Officer on Medical Education, NOMI. We have received one candidature application for Mrs. Khadija Muhammad Ashirawi. Can we have her presentation on, please? And prepare your questions, answer them in the chat.
Good evening, my dear friends, future doctors, MEDSCO family. It's my pleasure to give a talk as a candidate of National Officer of Medical Education. To introduce myself for those who don't know me, my name is Khadija Muhammad Shirawi, and I'm 7th year student in National University of Science and Technology. So let's begin with why SCOMI. My story with SCOMI started in 2018 in Montreal while I'm attending my first General Assembly under IFMC. I was supposed to attend SCOF sessions. On my first day of sessions, I feel so sleepy and I feel that this is not the place where Khadija belonged to. I talked to the president and she told me that I can choose any other standing committee. And here was the decision that I have to make, which standing committee I'm going to attend. I chose SCOMI because my friends were there. But when I attended SCOMI, everything for Khadija changed. The way I'm thinking as a student totally changed. I face many medical students. All of them have many medical issues during their journeys, but they decide not to just complain and stand on their places, but they decide to make a change. They decide to try in order to make their careers much better, in order to shift their weakness into the strength point. And the take-home message I get that never underestimate the power of the student. In 2019, when I came back to Oman, I was the local officer assistant in our university. We did many activities together as a team. We did SCOMI night to introduce SCOMI to those who are interested. We did BLS workshop, we did pediatric theme, and we also did an online activities as pictures to get a diagnosis to refresh student minds. Also, we enroll one activity as a team under the umbrella of IFMSA, which is a very good achievement that I can mention. Also, under IFMSA, I was participating in more than 20 events. The most important events was NGA 8. I was conducting a workshop there, and in NGA 9, I was the head of the theme event. And also, one of the most important events was I was one of the OCs for EMR 15. So my plan of action, due to this pandemic, I would like to divide the year into two parts, online activities and physical activities. And I would like to also focus in two more specialties which are more important for any medical student, which are the surgical and internal medicine. In online activities, I'm planning to do a talk with a specialist, discussion of many common cases and common problems. Also, I'm planning to do X-ray and ECG interpretation as a part of internal medicine online activities, and for surgery to discuss certain surgeries and procedures. And about the physical activities that we will conduct, we will do BLS workshop for the internal medicine and suturing workshop for the surgical department. However, I'm planning to do the hospital rotation, which are the seniors along with juniors, to discuss any communication skills, any case discussion, or anything that they are interested in hospital. And I think this will be a great experience for both seniors and juniors. And other than those two specialists, I would like to focus on 3 more points, which are to conduct TIMIT, because I do believe that we need more medical education trainers. Moreover, I would like to focus on advocacy by creating and strengthening that 2 curriculum development team in both universities to rise up the voice of the students. And finally, I would like to enroll this year much more events under the umbrella of IFMSA, even though I know that there is a long journey and there is many steps that we have to go through in order to enroll any activity. At the end, I just can promise you one thing, that no matter what struggles I'm gonna face, I will always try to use my experience and try to put all my effort in order to push SCOMI forward in my last year. And finally, remember to think globally and to act locally. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Khadija. So, do you have any questions? So we have 2 questions so far. 3, okay. So the first question, do you have plan B for physical activities if the pandemic continues? Plan B, how are you planning to reform the curriculum in NU to have a mandatory research project for all med students? Question 3, since you are in your final year, how will you ensure that SCOME is active in both LCs throughout the term? So you may start answering.
So I will start with the first question, which is what is the plan B for the physical activities if pandemic is still continue? I can't say anything right now, but I will increase the online activities as long as the pandemic is still there, and still there is many plans to go back to work, and I think that the pandemic will end over and life will become like normal. For the second question, which is planning to reform curriculum in NU. There's the new curriculum in national universities started since the previous year when I was in Rustaq, but I was I know about the new curriculum and it's include research, but what I can do for the curriculum development in our university, that to sit with those new students and to ask them about their experience, because as you know, from previous batch, which are go through the previous system, and the system is new also for me. However, we can do the team, we can by communication, we can know if there is any weakness or any points that we can add by the communication with the administration and the curriculum development team. The other question about the are you in your final year? Ensure SCOME is active on both. This is all about time management, and I think that I did very well in time management throughout all those years. So I don't think this is an issue for me, and I can by communication skills, by keep communicating, and by regular meeting with local officers, we can do well. And what's your plan to prepare news comedian in both local? I think my plan is very clear to all of you, but however, as comedian, I think we need more medical education trainers, and that's what I'm planning to do right now. How are you planning to conduct TIMIT since COVID-19 may not end till? Again, it's the same question. If there will always be alternative. No one knows when the pandemic will end. No one knows what will happen next. So each time we will replan again. I can't give an answer right now.
Okay. So Reham would like to clarify that she's asking about the alternative in her question.
For TIMIT? I don't know. I have to discuss if we can do TIMIT online. If we can do it, then why not? We can conduct it online as an online activity.
Any other questions? We still have 30 seconds to go. No other questions? Thank you, Khadija. Can we have the next presentation? Oh, sorry, we're not proceeding with the next presentation. Now we'll be having a video break. So Mustafa, can we have that video, please?
Yeah, just give me a second. I'll be.
So everyone just go take a mini break. Just stay here on the Zoom chat. Just give us a moment. We'll play a video and then we'll resume.
the same thing, AI is just going to be another tool that's part of the portfolio for the AI that we look at.
وبريك سيشن تعطيك بريك البانكيك اليوم في شوي عشان نبدا اي شيء ستارت ريدنج او روتين.
نحن في سنة حاليا بس اهم شيء قبل كورونا.
The first question is, what is sexual?
So hope you guys enjoyed that video. Now we can resume with our presentations. Can we have our slides back, please? So for the next presentation, we have candidature for the National Officer on Public Health, NPO. We have received only one candidature for Mr. Ahmed Kifah Hassan. Can we have his presentation on, please?
Welcome everyone. This is a small video about my NPO candidature for the year 2020-2021. First of all, a brief introduction about myself. I'm Ahmed Kifah. I'm a 6th year medical student of the National University. This is my 4th year as a SCOF member, and I was the LPO for the last term.
Sorry for the technical issue. We're working on it at the moment. Just give us some time. Maybe we can proceed with the next position and then come back for the position of the NPO. So our next position is candidature for the National Officer on Professional Exchange, NEO. We have Mr. Anas Imad Al-Wahibi. Can we have his presentation on, please?
People of Earth, my name is Anas Luhebi. Greetings, people of Earth. My name is Anas Luhebi, a 4th year medical student and a candidate for National Exchange Officer position for the term 2020 and 2021. I'm an enthusiast newcomer that participated in the previous 9th NGA, and I'm a part of the 10th NGA organizing committee. I also worked as a project manager and a participant in several events in the college and the hospital. My plan of action generally contain 4 points, and each point is attached to each other and strengthen it. First of all, there's the number of contracts, which is the major concern for the previous national exchange officers and myself. Then we have the academic quality, the social program, and the media influence. As for the number of contracts, I'm planning to work on increasing the number of contracts to an adequate number that ensure every student gets his fair chance to find a seat. Further contact and work with NEO shall be done to increase the provided number of seats. And unilateral contracts may be considered as a solution to increase seats, if necessary. So the academic quality, which is the tools and activities that improves the academic experiences of the exchange students, plays a major role and a big role in giving the students or ensuring that the students get the full potential of the exchange. That's why I'm planning to focus on students' proper training, pre-departure and upon arrival training, as this academic readiness of the students rise the institution academic quality. Moving on to our attraction pillar, which is the social program, I'm planning to put more effort on it and expand it to cover as much as possible of our culture and include in it more joyful experiences as it may works as a unique advertisement of our exchange program and raise its reputation. Finally, we have the media, or the fourth state, which is used to define the press and the news, and nowadays it includes the social media with its high ability to influence the way we see things. And when I say scoop on Scopy, I'm planning to establish a bright platform that sheds the light on Scopy activity in an unprecedented way by using social media and Neo server. Finally, I hope you vote for me, and if you don't, I will find you, and I will surprise you with what I can do. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, Anas. So now we have 2 minutes for questions. Do we have any questions for Anas? Any questions? We'll wait for 30 seconds. So we have received a question from Ali. How do you plan on preventing the problems of bias during exchange?
As for this point, I believe I answered it in the WhatsApp group previously. As for the bias problem, we're planning to set a pointing system that gives a point to whom choose to join the exchange program according to their activity in Medisco, and as well as we will get the help of doctors to help us in conducting the interviews to ensure that there will be no bias.
Okay. Another question from Arij. What is your plan in recruiting future Leos and Neos? You may start.
Actually, I know the abbreviation of Neo, but not Leo. So will you?
Leo is the local exchange officer. Your local NU and SQU.
As for the local exchange officer, there will be a lot of changes for the situation. We need to. I am planning to work on promoting for Scopy as a committee because it's not known and people do not usually join these positions. So I'm planning to, as I said, mentioned for the media, we'll plan to shed light on the activity and show people that there is a possibility to be active on Medisco by playing a role in being a local exchange officer and national exchange officer, by the help also, of course, of the capacity building team.
Okay. Any other questions? We still have 23 seconds to go. Any other questions for Anas? If no other questions, we may proceed to the next presentation. Back to the NPO presentation, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anas. So now we'll have the presentation for the NPO, Mr. Ahmed Kifah Hassan. Then we'll go for prayers break. Can we have his presentation on, please?
Welcome everyone. It's a small video about my MPO candidature for the year 2020-2021. First of all, a brief introduction about myself. I'm Ahmed Kifah. Welcome everyone. This is a small video about my MPO candidature for the year 2020-2021. First of all, a brief introduction about myself. I'm Ahmed Kifa. I'm a 6th year medical student of the National University. This is my 4th year as a SCOF member, and I was the LPO for the last term. Now, what were my accomplishments? Before LPO, I was part of nearly 20 events of MedSco in total, but most of them were SCOF. Now, if we're focusing on the LPO part, I conducted 5 successful events, and 2 of them got certified by FMSA. They were part of the EAT campaign. I was part of the Oman delegation for the August meeting of the General Assembly this past year. I was part of the organizing committee in the NGA 8 and NGA 10. I was head of the accompanying and team events in this NGA 10, and I was also part of the SCOF sessions. Now you might be wondering what you might expect of me. First of all, nationally, I'll be introducing the SCOF strategy. This is a plan that focuses on the important points of the public health sector in Oman for the upcoming 3 years. Secondly, I'll be hopefully signing the first contract of the SCOF Public Health Exchange from Oman in the next August meeting. I'll be introducing the capacity building officer and the media director to assist me in the smooth running of SCOF. I'll be also assisting my local officers, as it's always been our job, and I'll be helping them in any ideas and campaigns they come up with. I'll be introducing small working groups that can assist us in planning ahead for the themes and the ideas about upcoming SCOF projects. And finally, it's always our pleasure to help integrate the new SCOF members. Now, internationally, I want to increase the collaborations of SCOF with other EMR countries, and I want to introduce new collaborations with countries that are outside the EMR. I will be helping anyone that is going to attend the EMR and the General Assembly from the SCOF point of view. And finally, I want to introduce new activities in the activity sphere of both the General Assembly and the EMR. Thank you.
Thank you. Enough clapping, I guess. Okay. So we have received one question so far from Reham. So what's your plan to create strategy and how will you define the national priorities? So you may now start answering a question.
But first of all, I can start my video. I think the host should let me in. Okay, and to answering the question, what is your plan to create the strategy and how will you define the national priorities? First of all, in SCOF, we need to plan forward, not just for the present, but for the future also. I've had the experience of being an LPO, and the problem was that we had to plan on the spot. If a plan was set up from previously and focused on the important points that are set up for SCOF, for the public health sector, that will benefit all the members, the LPOs, and me as an NPO.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Any other questions? So we have received a question from Ali. This year, the base for SCOF exchange has been established. What do you plan regarding this term? You may start.
Okay, for the next term, I'll be moving on with the plan that's already being set up by Reham. And hopefully by the August meeting of the General Assembly, I'll be able to sign the contracts. Also, this will be done by the help of SCOP. And hopefully it will be for an EMR country as the plan is. And it will be the first contract signed in the August meeting.
Okay. Any other questions? You still have 55 seconds to go. Any other questions? So we have received a question from Arij. Can you explain further about the small working group you mentioned before?
Okay, I think I've also talked about this in the group. The small working groups will be a small collection of students from both SQ and NU, and their purpose will be to plan forwards for events and campaigns that can help us. Like they can find out ideas, and they will be members of SCOF. So members, like their ideas, we should be taking them, and this will help in that. I have another question. Do you have a contact person here locally to arrange a SCOF exchange from our side? Yes, that will be done with the help of, as I said earlier, it will be done with the help of the SCOF national officer and the SCOF local officers. And also, I'll be taking the help of my future local officer from the SQ.
Okay, time is up. Thank you very much. Now everyone will take 20 minutes break, prayers break. We'll all be back at 6:50. So please go pray, get some water and some snacks because we only have some presentations left and then we'll proceed to voting. So we need you in your full energy. So we'll be back at 6:50. If you can stay in the Zoom, just say so we avoid getting you in again. So you may go on a break now. Thank you.
We will be back in 1 minute.
So, shall we start? Okay, 3 more minutes.
عندي سؤال، نحن الكانديديتس نغير اسمنا إلى كانديديت بعدين الاسمي ولا عادي كذاك؟
أيوة candidate underscore اسمك.
أوكي، شكرا.
Okay, I think we can start now. So can we go back to where we left? Okay, so now we're carrying on with the presentations. So we have the presentation for the National Officer on Research Exchange, NORI. So we have received 2 candidatures. The first one of Mr. Aus Suleiman Al-Farsi. So can we have his presentation on, please?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Aus Al-Farsi, and I am a candidate for the position of National Officer on Research Exchange, NORI, for the term 2020-2021. I am a fourth-year medical student at SKU. My experiences include being the NORI's assistant for the term 2019-2020. I've attended several national and international meetings. On the national level, I have attended the 9th NGA as a participant and the 10th NGA as an organizer and also part of the SCORI session team. On the international level, I have attended the recent EMR 16, which was held in Jordan. Moving on to the most important part of my presentation, my plan of action. I am planning to improve the academic quality by the implementation of the SCORI logbook and the post-exchange evaluation and by the continuation of the upon arrival training. I also plan to improve the research educational activities by the continuation of the workshops and events that has been previously done and introducing new workshops and events that emphasizes on the importance of research and the ethics of research. I am also planning to continue the collaboration with SCOPI in terms of the pre-departure training and the social program. I plan to collaborate with both SCOMI and SCORP also. I am planning to increase the number of the research exchange contracts. I also plan to increase the number of seats allocated for the national university students. I also plan to use promotional videos, which includes information about SCORI and research. I also plan to promote Oman and its research exchange program in all international and regional meetings. And finally, I am planning to increase the number of the MEDSCO active students by the continuation of the point system. So, why should you vote for me? Besides being the best candidate for this position, I am a very good teamwork player. I have great leadership and time management skills. I have good communication skills, which is important for this position. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I'm looking forward for your support and trust. Thank you.
Thank you. So do we have any questions? So we have received one question from Matham on how will you increase the number of contracts and seats? You may answer now.
Okay, for this question, you asked me a general one, so you didn't specify is it for National University or SKU. So to increase the number of research exchange contracts, I am gonna promote the research exchange program in all international and regional meetings. I will use promotional videos, which includes information about the social program, the research exchange program in general, and share it with other countries and okay, of NU. Okay, yeah. So for NU, I will ensure to communicate with the management and administration of the national university, and also in planning to provide unilateral contracts if that's possible, which might solve the current problem. Sorry.
Okay, I have a question myself. So during my term as an NMO president, as I served 2 years, so the problem with the NORI seats was that we were not able to convince researchers and doctors to take students with them. So that was the main problem rather than advocating or advertising among students. So how are you willing to overcome this problem? Because, for example, we used to sign with doctors and then during summer they would cancel on us. So how are you planning to overcome this problem?
Ensuring the to choose doctors that will not do that trick on the students or on the SCORI. So some doctors, they won't do that, and I plan to communicate with those ones especially.
Okay. Fair answer. Any other questions? Any other questions? We still have 1 minute to go. If no other questions, we may proceed with the next presentation. So can we have our slides back? Apparently no other questions. So the next presentation for the position of NORI, we have Mrs. Selma. Can we have her presentation on, please?
Good evening, everybody. I am Salma Khiji, and I'm one of the candidates for the National Officer of Research Exchange position. Let's talk about my previous med school and SCORI participation. Once I entered medical school, I was introduced to med school through SCORI events, and I had very memorable memories that quite grew a belonging feeling towards this committee. In 2019 fall, I was assigned as the assistant of Lori in SQU, and in 2020 spring, I was assigned as the Lori in SQU. Let's talk about my plan of action that I imply on this position. First point, it is to enhance the quality academics through research exchanges. We know that research exchanges are one of the important opportunities to enhance the learning, the academical learning of the exchange students. And we can enhance that by the increase of number of research exchange seats for both universities and to implement the usage of the SCORI logbook, and also by the implementation of feedback evaluative system from the outgoings and ingoings. The second point, it is the collaborations with SCOPI. I aim to provide an enhanced pre-exchange training program with the help of SCOPI, and this aims to clarify and direct the outgoing students and help them have a clear image on what they're supposed to apply in their documents. And second of all, it is to also participate in the social program planning for the incomings. My third point, it is about research education, which is one of my important aims. First of all, I aim to continue the conduction of the previously conducted workshops and events, and to introduce new events and apply the impact assessment. The impact assessment that I try to imply, it is in the favor of reassuring that the attendees have an informative events and would adjust the events according to that. The fourth is to enhance the internal and external collaborations. We know that SCORI is about research, so definitely research can be related to the medical education and can be related to the human rights. Therefore, we can have joint sessions that are associated with the other two committees of SCOMI. Fourth of all, it is to enhance the participations in SCORI, and that's by maintaining a direct communication between the NORI-LORI and the members, and to maintain the point system. And through the joint sessions, we can reassure that we will have an increased number of participations. And thank you.
Thank you, Selma. We now have 2 minutes for questions. Any questions for Selma? From my side, I would like to have the same question that I have asked before. So what is your plan in overcoming the problem of not finding research projects locally, of doctors canceling their research projects?
Okay, first of all, like to root down the basic problem, it might be rooting down to the doctors not believing that the research, the exchange students are not interested enough and they're not motivated into the research because they might be into the exchange part rather than the research itself. So if we prove to them that the SCORI members and the exchange students that are incoming and outgoings are proper and up to the scale for providing an proper assistance in the research, they might be convinced and this situation might not happen. So how are we going to like reassure them that? First of all, we might like continue the, this point. We might try to continue activate the participation in SCORI as a committee in a way to continue like that are about research. And in case of SCORI becoming active enough that the doctors and the researchers are viewing this participation, they would view the exchange students and SCORI as a committee in a positive attitude. So I hope that answered that.
Yes, thank you. And we have the other question by Matham, the same question. How will you increase the number of contracts and seats of NU?
About NU is that previously there were no bilateral research exchanges. So we might try for now to convince or have a communication or discussion with the administration in NU about accepting the bilateral, and we will try to promote Oman and Medisco through the national assemblies and general assemblies, and this would be helpful in signing new contracts that are unilateral and most likely start the bilateral ones in NU.
Time is up. Thank you. Thank you. Can we have our slides back? So next we have the presentation for the position of National Officer on Human Rights and Peace, the position of NOR. We have Miss Zahra Hamid Al-Hashmi. Can we have her presentation on?
Good evening to you all. It's a pleasure to be presenting in the first virtual NGA meeting. Thanks to all members who have worked hard in order to make it a successful and fruitful experience. This is Zahra Al-Hashmi, fourth-year medical student at SQU, applying to be the next National Officer on Human Rights and Peace for the upcoming term. I believe that each one of us would love to leave a great impact, whether at a small level with their friends, families, or to a bigger extent involving communities. This has always been my ultimate goal, which is how to make a positive impact, how to strive to make a better community. Being part of Medsco have been one of the great experiences where it pushed me to find what I want and do what I enjoy. Summer of 2018 opened the doors for me to Scorp's world, where I have attended the workshop and I found myself there. I told myself this is where I want to belong, advocate and empower people about issues related to human rights, peace, and how these influence health infrastructure. Next, I have been an organizer for Universal's Children's Day. Later on, I held the position of local officer, which was for the past term, where we conducted several activities. And I am here today completing this journey by applying for NORM. I suppose that time has come for SCORP to shine and become more active just like other standing committees. It is time to have more enthusiastic members to share their ideas and implement them nationally and internationally, to have a better communication between members and get updated with relevant information. Hence, I put forward the following regulations that I see we are in need for. Ensure active status of SCORP at the national level, and this will happen by conducting at least 2 activities. This will not happen unless there is constant support and encouragement for students to share their ideas regarding issues faced nationally or internationally, and reflect those in the form of activities or awareness campaigns. These activities should fulfill SCORP's vision. In addition, there must be good communication between the national officer, local officer, and members, keeping them up to date with relevant information, and ensuring that evaluation forms are being filled. A rule of thumb, for any institution or organization to succeed, there must be investment in their members. Thus, one of the main goals for this year is to conduct an event related to capacity building, to empower our students and make them more skilled. Additionally, I will get activities done registered into IFMSA program database. In conclusion, with all the conflicts happening worldwide, with all the suffering faced by many people, with all these innocent people being vulnerable and not capable to live the life they deserve, there is still hope, and there will always be, especially when there are students and members from society interested and willing to make a change and spread happiness and peace around the world. And just before I end, I would like to especially thank Reham Zijjali for her ultimate support and help. To Maytha Al-Asmi, who gave me the courage to take this path. Thanks to all supporters out there. And thanks to all of you for listening. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Zahra. Now we have 2 minutes for questions. Do we have any questions for Zahra? Any questions for Zahra? Still waiting. So we have received one question from Arij on what's your plan in supporting local officers? You may start answering now.
Okay, so basically one of the important things is that there is a good communication between the national officer and the local officer. So if this actually happens, then we can support one another in conducting activities, probably even follow them up with the plans they have, and kind of encourage them and motivate them to go forward.
Okay. Any other questions? We have 1.5 minutes approximately, or even more. Any other questions for Zahra? No other questions? We may proceed with the next presentation. So the next position is Media and Publication Division Director. We have received one application, Mr. Muhammad Isa Al-Azri. Can we have his candidature, please?
Assalamu alaikum, this is Muhammad Al-Azri, a medical student at Sultan Qaboos University. I will be applying for Media Publication Division Director for the term 2020-2021. First, let me tell you about myself. I am a third-year medical student. I like painting. This is an example of my paintings. I like video editing and filmmaking. I have attended EMR 16 in Jordan, and now I am attending this NGA, the 10th National General Assembly. I discovered Mitsco from their Instagram account. They were searching for a person to make a videos for their events, and I told them, here I am. I did a videos for them. They liked my works. They were very kind of me. I feel comfort to work with them. I started loving Mitsuko since that moment. So I found Mitsuko is a good place to give a power, to live in. I believe that social media is the main source of attraction to most of Mitsuko events. So media should be under the responsibility of a high qualified person with enough experience in this field in order to give it attention it deserves and representing Mitsuko in its best form. So speaking about experience, I have been experimenting in this field for a pretty long time. I have started 3 years ago after graduation from high school with no skills, only my camera and phone. And the most important thing, the idea. Today, my Instagram account where I share my posts and my edited videos is reaching 10,000 followers. Also, I'm responsible for directing a podcast Instagram account. I'm the media director of Stefan Podcast. Okay, now let me move to tell you about my plans and strategies in media publication division directing. So this is a new position and it requires a new structuring for the media team. So, based on my knowledge and experience, I found that this structure is the most efficient structure. I have divided the media team into 6 divisions: photography team, video team, designing team, translation team, reviewing team, and posting team. To make sure that media team have a high production efficiency, I will conduct 4 workshops for the media team during this year: video editing by phone workshop, Photoshop workshop, editing by After Effects workshop, and editing by Premiere Pro workshop. Because I love Mitsuko, I want it to be well known in our society and even in other societies. By continuous posting of high quality posts and a creative presentation of account content, this will increase the number of followers in our social media accounts. So I set a goal by the end of this term. The followers on Instagram will exceed 10,000 followers, inshallah, and in Twitter, the number will exceed 7,000 followers. So if someone asks me why 10,000 followers in Instagram, why you choose this number? Okay, in Instagram there is a feature allows you to share a link in your stories. If your followers is less than 10,000 followers, you are not able to share any link in your stories. But when you reach this number of followers, 10,000, you will be able to share links in your stories. And this feature will be very, very helpful for Mitsuko because, as you know, Mitsuko uses many links for its events and participating in its events. Also for Google Forms. I am a student in Sultan Qaboos University, but this doesn't mean that the media team members will be from Sultan Qaboos University only. No, media team will involve students from OMC, Oman Medical College, and students from Sultan Qaboos University in order to document all events that occur in OMC and
So thank you for your presentation. As you know, we have a 2 minutes limit for each presentation. So do we have any questions? So we have received one question from Tariq. Sorry, it's a 3 minutes presentation, not 2. So we have 2 minutes for questions, and we have received one from Tariq. How do you plan to attract members for media team? You may start answering.
As I told you, I will do 4 workshops for video editing. This maybe will attract them. It's the free workshops for them, not paid.
Okay.
Only for media team.
Any other questions? Any other questions, please? So we have a question from Nazik. Editing apps are known to be expensive. Do you have any financial plans?
No, there is a free editing apps like in phone, like VideoLeap. But about Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Photoshop, we can use the cracked applications.
Okay, another question from Shihab. We will also have media teams within the LC?
Yep. I mentioned in my presentation about that, but it wasn't the last. So every standing committee, every local committee, I will be sure that every standing committee will get the media focus it deserves.
Okay. Any other questions? We still have 1 minute to go. So we have received a question from Maitham. How will you ensure that there is media coverage for every event, as there are many events happening in each LC? You may answer.
Okay, by increasing the members in media team, we will be sure that the video team and photography team is enough for every event.
Okay. Any other questions?
And if there is not enough members, so we can look for another people outside يعني من برا الميديا تيم ما لازم يكونوا من ضمن الميديا تيم فقط نستعيرهم for documenting.
Okay. Any other questions? 30 seconds to go. Any other question? No other question? We may proceed. Can we have our slides back, please? Okay. Then we have the presentation for the NULC president. We have received 2 candidatures. First one was for Miss Asma Ahmed Salim Salmi. So her application was withdrawn. Next, we have Ms. Sidra Ali Khan. Can we have her presentation on, please?
Hello everyone, my name is Sidra and I am honored to be running for the NULC President 2020 to 2021. I have previously been an active and engaged member of the community through events and the local officer for research exchange in 2018 to 2019. Having said that, I know taking the role of the LC President is a big task, which I am confident that I can take on. I have spoken with the previous members of the team in our university, and along with my own personal experience, I have come up with essential issues that we need to be tackled. First and most importantly, engage and participate. So yes, over the years, there has been a tremendous increase in participation. However, I believe that this has yet to reach its maximum capacity. Newer students are still unsure and unaware of the importance of MEDSCO IFMSA. I plan on increasing interactive sessions online and on campus when possible, introducing the team members, and establishing an understanding of what IFMSA stands for. Second challenge is communication. I believe that the line of communication, externally and internally, is very weak. What I plan on doing is working within first, strengthening interpersonal relations, to strengthen the line of communication with the administration, and then therefore strengthening the line of communication with our peers at SKU. The third struggle that was faced was finance. Now, this was a struggle that I faced as well, and there was not enough budget going around to run events smoothly, and the quality of events therefore fell. There are 3 steps that I plan on implementing. Financial planning, outlining the goals for this term as early as possible, making a financial model which will allow us to understand where our shortcomings in the past have been and reduce cost and ineffective expenditure. Then this will allow a stability amongst members. The second thing would be internal administration. So after setting up a plan, I need to tackle the internal administration. Therefore, I intend to write proposals for the university administration, convincing them to increase our budget as a segregated identity. Sponsorship. I plan on finding sponsors for each committee. This will not only lessen the burden on planning, but also help run events smoothly and beautifully. Finally, the topic of COVID-19. As we're all well aware, the pandemic has rendered activities for the NMO and many other places. There is still a large uncertainty of what the new norm is or when the activities will normalize again. In my opinion, it would be a great idea to now use accessible online platforms for committees so the good work can continue. This will require some external professional help as well as the skills of our amazing media team. I look forward to working with the new team and making this experience an interesting and enjoyable one. Thank you.
So thank you, Sidra, for your presentation. Do we have any questions for Sidra? So we have received one question from Maytem. How do you plan to attract sponsors for each committee?
Well, it depends on the events. So like I said, there has to be a financial, like a plan beforehand, and I need to know exactly what the committees have in mind. And depending on the event, I will try to attract the sponsors. So each event will be different, obviously. So for example, if it's something to do with research related, I will try to get people who are more into that, or companies that are more into research, basically. So this could be oil companies as well, because I have talked to, previously I've talked to some of them. And this could be like hospitals as well, because some of them are willing, some doctors especially are willing to sponsor, but they just don't know when to do it.
Okay. We have received another question from Lujaina. How are you planning on involving more students in exchange, especially research? And from Shihab, how will you ensure and use contribution to IPMC annual fees of med school? You may answer now.
Okay, so about research, I have been doing research since I started med school. And this is even before I got into medicine, so I wasn't initially in medicine myself. And over the years, I've noticed that we are not given opportunities at NU to do the research, especially being in Sohar. It's not easy to find doctors who would want to continue doing research. However, the past few months, I have done a lot of researches in Royal Hospital, and SKU and AFH, and there are doctors who are willing to work with medical students, especially because they know that they're interested, and they are ready to let them come on board. So I think that's the first step. Before even the exchange can happen, you need to be able to do a research properly. And for the second question, well, actually, the problem is at NU, the communication, like I said, is not very good. So I need to fix this first before I can do anything else. So I need to talk to the board members, and especially since our administration has changed over the last 2 years. It went from a college to a university. So we're part of a bigger group now.
Thank you. Time is up. Can we have our slides back? Thank you, Sidra. Can we have the slides back, please? Then we have, I guess, the last presentation for the position of SKU LC president. For those who doesn't know what LC means, it's local president. So we have an NMO president that represent both LCs that are SKU and NU universities. And then in each university, we have a local president. So for SQU, we have the candidature of Mr. Osama Mahmoud Al-Lawati. Can we have his presentation on, please?
Nothing's impossible. This saying is always with me since I heard it when I was young. I'm Osama Al-Lawati, and I'll be presenting for my candidation for SQU local president position in Medsco. First of all, my journey with Medsco started in 2019 when I attended the NGA SCOME sessions, and I understood there that a new thing is coming to my life, a new passion is coming to my life, and I was sure I'll be spending time on developing things related to Medsco and to serve Medsco and do the best for Medsco. So to make things easier, I've divided my presentation into two parts. The first part, I'll talk about some of my experiences, and the other part will be about my plan of action in SQU. So my experiences, beginning of the year, I was an assistant LOMI. Then I attended the EMR 16 in Jordan. I'm now the head of technical team in NGX, as some of you know, and I'm the head of sponsorship team in the medical education conference that will be soon. So in my plan of action, I have 4 priorities to work on. First of all, about communication. I think there is a big problem with communication. So I'll be providing all local officers with calendars with due dates so that they know when to submit their things. I'll try to make joint sessions so that we can share, so that all local officers and local committees can share information and share experiences with each other. Unfortunately, we know that we are coming for online sessions. Nothing to do, Corona is everywhere. So we will overcome this obstacle by online events and sessions. And I'll try to provide the best environment for local officers to work. So for second priority is about active participants. I'll try to increase the activeness of participants by the evaluation form and by group work. For the proposals, there will be a standard template of electronic proposals. Instead of wasting time, sending and revising proposals will be done by me. The fourth priority is about participants' motivation, and this is a problem for everyone. Appreciation is always needed. So when you appreciate the work of your participants, you did a great job as a leader. So I'll be doing that, hopefully, inshallah, and I will have continuous meetings with them so that we can continue our work and we can do difference in Medsco. Thank you all. This was Osama Al-Lawati.
Thank you, Osama, for your presentation. And now we have 2 minutes for questions. Do you have any questions for Osama? Any questions? Again, I would like to remind you to send your questions even while the presentation is still on. Prepare your presentation, your questions earlier, please. Any questions? So we have received one question from Ali. How will you ensure LCs are active during examination period? So you may answer.
Thank you. Thanks for the great question. I think students being active during examinations will be hard. So instead of working on making them active in examinations, I'll be working on, during examinations, I'll be working on making them active before examinations. They finish all they need to finish before examinations, before hard times, because we know as medical students, we are not facing little things. So yeah, I'll ensure that they are done with their things before they get into any examination or thing. If this wasn't done, I'll always be there to help them. And we can, by continuous meetings, by knowing about them, where did they reach, I can know with them what will they do and what are their plans.
Okay. Another question from Rashid asking, you said that there is a problem with communication. What do you think if the problem comes again?
Okay. As I said, the communication is my first priority. The problem can come again if we continue doing the same things. But if we change doing things, the problem will not come again. So I'll ensure that I'm always in touch with all local officers. So in weekly basis, I'll have meetings with them. I'll be contacting them every few days so that I'm sure they're all right. I'll also make a team with me. I can't check all Metzco and SQU alone, by myself. So I always believe in group work. We'll have two, maybe two in my group. So they'll help me with this. So every one of us can focus on a thing and move a step further in it. What is your plan for completing the selection process? Okay.
So time is up. Thank you. You have completed 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have our slides back, please? Slides, Manhal. Okay. So by now we have completed all presentations for our positions before we move to the elections and the voting. So we as an organizing committee and plenary team would like to make an apology as there has been an inconvenience that happened. So in 2 positions where we had 2 candidates, so ideally the second candidate should not be available or should not be online hearing the presentation of the first candidate. So what we did is that we asked question for the first candidate and then we repeated the question for the next candidate. So the next candidate had the time to think of an answer. So by now we would like to apologize for these candidates and give them the chance to reconsider their answer and answer the questions again if they want. So we had these questions for Aus and for Al-Mu'ayyad as well. So Aus, would you like to reconsider your answer? If yes, open your mic and answer. We can repeat the questions for you.
I would not. I would not like to repeat.
Okay.
It stays the same.
Okay, so it's fine with you. You don't like to change
Yeah,
your
no problem.
Oh, okay. Mu'ayyad, what about you?
Yes, Mira, I would like to stick with my answers.
Oh, okay. Sounds great. Thank you.
Wait, Mira, I would like to, the last question.
Yes.
The last question, can you repeat it if you have the last question? Because
Question. So our problem was with the repeated question. So as for you, the question was if the officers did not respond even after reminding them that they have to fill the report, what will be your action?
For this one, I would report it to SUBCO and for the EB as a whole.
Okay.
So that's it.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now we will move to the fun part where we will be electing our team for the next term. So we'll start with the elections of the Metzco Executive Board for the term 2020-2021. Okay, and for that, I guess you already have your accounts and link to the Nemo Vote website. Is that true?
Yes.
So, can we have the next slide, please, Ahmed?
Manhal.
Okay,
yes.
So here's how this will go. So I'll explain the whole voting process so we can have it easy and we can have it smooth going. Okay, so we'll vote on each position and then at the end we'll take a 5-minute break so we can prepare the results and then we'll announce. Okay, so what we have that all of you have your own accounts in Nemo Vote and you have the link. So we will open the vote for each position and then you are required to vote. So for each position, there are three choices or 4, depending on the number of candidates. So as we can see here, for example, we have the first vote for election for the position of the NMO president. You have the choice to select either if you are in favor of Mr. Shihab al-Ma'wari, against Mr. Shihab al-Ma'wari, or you abstain. And then we'll move to the next vote for the next position. Is that clear? Is that clear? Okay, so just to remind you that during the voting process, you're not allowed to do any form of recording. Video recording or audio recording are not permitted. So you cannot take videos, you cannot record, and you cannot take pictures as well. This is prohibited. So during the voting process, please do not take any pictures or videos. Clear? Is that clear to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So as requested by the TO, we'll have a 5-minute break just for you to consider your choices for the votes, and then we can proceed with the voting. Okay? So 5 minutes break. We'll be back at 7:45. Please do not log out. Stay online. Stay with us on the Zoom so we can have you all around during the voting process. Just a 5-minute break so you can reconsider who are you voting for. Remember that you are choosing the people that will represent you in the future. These are the people who represent you and will raise your voice to the college, the university, and also to our community and to the world as well. So make your decisions wise.
One more thing, Mira, just if I can add.
Sure.
Please stop the YouTube stream when we start the elections.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stop the YouTube stream, and also if there is a live video going on Insta Live, please turn it off.
All right.
Do not take any picture or any videos or audio recording during the voting process. And do